Rewind to the 1990s. If you earned £50,000, you were the king of your suburb. It was the number that meant you had arrived, the detached house, the second car on the drive, the neighbours quietly wondering what on earth you did for a living. Now fast forward to 2026. That same £50,000 is still, on paper, a very good salary. It sits you comfortably inside the top 10 to 15% of earners in the country. And yet, for the person actually living it, £50,000 has become something strange. It feels less like success and more like a maths puzzle that never quite solves itself. And there is a hard number sitting underneath that feeling. To buy today what £50,000 bought you back in the 1990s, you would now need somewhere close to £125,000. Read that again. Inflation has quietly swallowed more than half of that salary's real power. The figure on the payslip has barely moved in 30 years, but the life it actually unlocks has shrunk to less than half its old size. The money still arrives, and somehow, by the middle of the month, it is already gone. This is the status mirage. The number sounds rich, the life feels tight. So let us walk through, pound by pound, exactly why. Start with the brutal gap between what you earn and what you actually keep. Your £50,000 is a gross figure, the number on the job advert, the number you casually mention at a dinner party. But HMRC sees that number long before you do. First comes income tax. After your personal allowance of £12,570, a figure frozen so long it now quietly drags you deeper every time you get a pay rise, the rest is taxed at 20%. That is roughly £7,500 gone. Then national insurance, at 8% on most of what you earn, just under £3,000. And if you went to university after 2012, there is a third quieter hand in your pocket, the Plan 2 student loan. 9% of everything you earn above £29,385. Call it another £1,800 a year. Add it all together, and your shiny £50,000 salary lands in your account as about £3,100 a month. Then your workplace pension quietly takes its slice, and the genuinely spendable figure, the money you can actually reach out and touch, is closer to £2,900. Hold that number in your mind, £2,900, because everything else in your life now has to fit inside it. Here is the first thing nobody warns you about. Earning a good salary in a major UK city is not free. It comes with an entry fee. Think of it like a weighted vest. Every single morning, before you have bought one thing you actually enjoy, you strap it on, and it drags on every step you take. Inside that vest is the rail season ticket that costs more than some people's rent, the car park permit, the petrol, the professional wardrobe you are quietly expected to maintain, the lunches bought near the office because there was never any time to make one, the childcare that makes the entire arrangement possible in the first place. None of this is luxury. This is simply the cost of being allowed to earn the salary at all. And for the typical £50,000 professional, that weighted vest swallows around 15% of your take-home pay. Money spent purely for the permission to keep earning. Now we reach the bars of the cage, your fixed costs. If you rent a one-bedroom flat in the southeast, you are handing over well north of £1,000 a month before you have switched on a single light. In London, the average rent has now pushed past £2,250, more than the entire monthly take-home of someone earning this exact salary in the north. And if you have bought instead a semi-detached somewhere in the north, perhaps the mortgage is only the opening act. On top of it comes council tax, the silent mortgage, a second housing bill that nobody ever mentions on the way in, and that has quietly outpaced wages for well over a decade. The average Band D bill in England is now £2,392 a year, around £200 every single month, arriving whether you use a single council service or not. Rent or mortgage, council tax, the bills behind the bills. By the time all of it is paid, a huge slice of that £2,900 is already spoken for, before you have made a single choice of your own. So here is the test that reveals the real truth about a salary. Not how much comes in, how much you can absorb when something goes wrong. Picture it. You go out to start the car, and it simply will not turn over. Or the MOT comes back with a list as long as your arm. Or the dog swallows something it absolutely should not have. And the emergency vet slides a £900 bill across the counter without blinking. For an enormous number of £50,000 earners, that £900 shock is a genuine crisis. Not because they are careless, but because there is simply nothing spare underneath them. The salary is large, the margin is gone. This is the quiet condition of the modern professional. Income rich, but margin poor. Plenty flowing in at the top. No financial shock absorbers waiting at the bottom. One bad week away from the overdraft. Which brings us, inevitably, to your neighbours. The ones who look like they earn £100,000. The new German car sitting on the drive. The registration plate that somehow changes every 3 years. And you quietly wonder how, on roughly the same money as you, they can possibly afford any of it. The answer, almost always, is that they cannot. What you are looking at is PCP, car finance, that lets you rent the appearance of wealth by the month. It hands you the badge, the smell of the new interior, the admiring glance from across the street. What it quietly does is siphon off £300, £400, £500 a month, the very money that should have been flowing into an ISA or a SIP, building something that is genuinely theirs. It is the perfect trap. It looks exactly like success. It functions exactly like a leak. Now, none of this lands the same way everywhere, because there is not one Britain, there are two. £50,000 in Newcastle, where a perfectly decent flat might cost you £800 a month, buys a genuinely comfortable life, space, savings, the odd holiday without a spreadsheet. That very same £50,000 in London buys something far closer to survival. To live in the capital the way you would live in the northeast, you would need something in the region of £90,000 just to break even on the difference. Think of it as a shrinking map. The further south and east you travel, the smaller your money physically becomes in your hand, until a very good salary shrinks all the way down to just about enough. The same number on the payslip. Two completely different lives. So what actually changes any of this? Not a pay rise. A pay rise, left to its own devices, mostly just feeds the vest and reinforces the cage. The number that truly matters is not the one printed on your P60, it is the gap, the space between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is the only thing in your entire financial life that ever quietly turns into freedom, and you have to build it on purpose. Start with a direct debit audit. Sit down, list every automatic payment leaving your account, and be ruthlessly honest about which ones are buying you nothing at all. The subscription you forgot you had, the finance deal on a car that loses value every time it rains, the upgrade you stopped noticing years ago. Then take everything you free up and redirect the flow out of other people's pockets and into tax-efficient assets that are actually yours. An ISA, a SIP, a pension you finally pay real attention to. You are not trying to earn more this month. You are trying to keep more of what already arrives. Because here is the truth about £50,000 in 2026. It is a wonderful servant and a terrible master. Left completely unmanaged, it becomes nothing more than a pass-through account. The money lands on any random morning, waves hello, and leaves again for your landlord and your lenders before you have even finished your coffee. Real freedom was never the size of the salary, it is the size of the gap. It is owning a life that comfortably costs £40,000, so that the extra £10,000 can finally do the one thing money was ever actually for, buying your time back. If this video helped, like and hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.